Greetings, dear viewer. Today we are on land with spacious valleys stretching up mountains, crystal clear air and a world-famous name. We are here in the Crimean Peninsula surrounded by the Black Sea. As you know, over the centuries this land was inhabited by ancient peoples. Among them were Turkic tribes. Subsequently, the Crimean Khanate was created on this peninsula. Since then, to this day, the Crimean Tatars carefully preserve the ancient culture and their heritage. My goal is to get to know this fraternal people closer. This corner of nature in southern Europe covers an area of 25.5 thousand square meters and is connected to Eastern Europe through the Isthmus of Perikop. The Crimean Peninsula is a witness of ancient eras, historical events of the Middle Ages, as well as the political and cultural processes of modern Eurasia. This is a sacred corner, the Pearl of Eurasia. The soil here has preserved traces of grey-haired history and was the foundation for several great civilizations. According to scientists, the first people began to settle here about 100,000 years ago. That is, representatives of the Paleolithic era could come here through the Black Sea. I wanted to start my research from these places, follow the traces of the ancient inhabitants of the peninsula, find their habitat and feel that era. It is interesting that one of the oldest settlements in the Crimea was found on the territory of the largest city of the peninsula, in Simferopol. Chorokcha is still the only monument in the Paleolithic of the Earth that gave highly aesthetic and scientific examples of ancient time. Tentatively estimated 40 to 45,000 years. This is one of the oldest sites in Europe.
Эта стоянка была как бы захоронена под завалами. Под завалами обрушившихся.
In ancient times, this parking lot was buried under the rubble of the collapsed ceiling, and therefore archaeologists have found it untouched. This is a large number of silicon tools. This is ash fire. And by the way, a lot of mammoth bones were found.
Было найдено очень много мамонтовой кости.
The historical name of the Crimean Peninsula is Tavrika. This name is associated with the ancient tribes of Tauri that inhabited these lands. And the word Crimea allegedly came from the Turkic Korum, that is, fortress. Whatever the name of this ancient peninsula, the witness of many civilizations, it still maintains its centuries-old culture. This land was inhabited by the ancestors of our ancestors, the ancient nomads that the Turkic tribes were descended. This is the city of Naples Scythian, archaeological site of the Crimean Peninsula and a unique example of nomadic civilization. This historical fortress, like Turkic, is located in Simferopol. At the beginning of the last century, during waterworks, representatives of public utilities discovered underground the remains of an ancient city. Immediately, archaeological excavations were carried out, as a result of which the Scythian Naples fortress was discovered here.
During
archaeological excavations, scientists were able to prove that, starting from the 3rd century BC, the Scythian tribes inhabited the Crimean Peninsula. And I just went to one of these historical places. This is the Naples Scythian fortress. The ancient settlement is dated 2nd century BC. The name Naples Scythian from Greek is translated as the new city of the Scythians. The ancient fortress was built in the 2nd century BC and became the capital of the last Scythian state. This city is mentioned in records under the name Chersones's decree, as well as in the geography of Strabo. During excavations, the grave of one of the last Scythian rulers of Argot was discovered here. Interestingly, the inscription on the tombstone is made in ancient Greek. It says, "The stone tomb of the multi-orthodox Argot was erected by the lord of Scythia, rich with horses. He appreciated the mighty men living on them his own sorrow. Because of his friendly disposition to the Greeks, having accomplished a lot, he cut the number of the army of the Thracians and Meots. He raised 60 sons and daughters and a wise son." Scientists believe that the wise son refers to the ruler Skilur, so most likely it was he who built this mausoleum. In general, the ancient settlement occupies about 14 hectares of land. Only 5 to 6% are excavated from them. The most interesting find is probably the Mausoleum of Tsar Skilur. Also, there is a Mausoleum of Tsar Argot, presumably the first late Scythian king. There is such a small handicraft winery. Well, presumably it was created only for representatives of the authorities and the ruling family. And there's also a magoron, such an ancient structure. It came to us from Greece. Another archaic period. Presumably the kings lived there. In 1980, experts reconstructed these walls in order to preserve the Mausoleum of Tsar Skilur. But these stones are more than 2,000 years old. Unfortunately, the Naples Scythian fortress is still not fully investigated. I would like to believe that in the near future the city will reveal to us all its secrets. And I continue my journey. In Simferopol, we meet historical corners at every step. I would never have thought that in just one day you can see several at once. The convenience of the Crimean Peninsula is that historical areas are close to each other, and the next settlement is no exception. We set off for Gorzov. Black Sea. What a beautiful landscape. The town of Gorzov is located at an altitude of 63 meters from sea level. According to some reports, the name Gorzov appeared from the Latin word ursus, that is, bear. And all because the local pearl is located here, Ayudag or Bear Mountain. Indeed, from this side it is very similar to a clubfoot predator. It doesn't matter which coast of this peninsula you're on, everywhere you will find equally beautiful views. But Gorzov is a special place. Here I felt as if I were in a real ancient Crimean Tatar settlement. The narrow cobbled streets of old houses with bizarre architecture evoke this idea. But our acquaintance with the Crimean Tatar culture would not be complete without one important nuance. Therefore, now we're going to get to know the local cuisine. Dear viewers, I'm ready to taste Crimean Tatar cuisine. Next to me is Mr. Osman, the manager of the Ethno restaurant, and the chef Dilara. Osman, let's first talk a little about the dishes that we will cook now. Today we will prepare small dumplings, kashik ash. Our great-grandmothers prepared such dumplings. For the second, we will cook Kuberte. This is an exquisite Crimean Tatar dish that was specially prepared for very important guests, and they were welcomed with this particular dish. Then, let's start. Dilara will help me with the preparation of national dishes, although not, to be more precise, I will help her. We started by making very small dumplings, to the attention of all cooking lovers. To prepare this dish, you will need onions, beef, black pepper, dough and a lot of patience. Kashik ash is a dish that onions and meat need to be cut as small as possible. Well, Yeshat is trying, but still not like Dilara Hanim. Dilara Hanim is leading. She does it beautifully, and mine looks more like a salad. Well, you have to try. It's not getting as good as we would like, but I'm sure that in the end it will turn out to be edible. Yeshat, well, look how small it should be. Check this out. Even smaller. It will be even smaller in the end. Well, it's a little bit of something. No, I can't do that. Just because of the onion, the eyes are watery, I can't see anything. But I can. Yes, it looks a lot easier than it really is. Well, Dilara Hanim says that the onion is ready. Now put it in a bowl.
Osman. Енді
Oh, now my favorite is meat. And now it is the turn of meat. Please, here you are. According to old technology, meat is minced as follows. First, we chop well in small slices. We made slices, now we need to chop them.
hazır.
Now, like this, here are such slices.
Хорошо.
Of course, cutting meat was a lot easier for me. This is probably in our blood. And now it's time to talk a little about the dish itself with the interesting name kashik ash. Cooking it is not easy. For this, it takes a lot of patience in addition to skill. According to Osman, it takes several hours to prepare 1 kilogram of these mini dumplings with the combined efforts of the restaurant staff. They say that in the old days, mother-in-law as a test allowed the daughter-in-law to cook kashik ash. If more than 30 dumplings were placed in one spoon, this indicated the high skill of the girl. The meat is ready. Professional year shot. Professional year shot. This is another story. Thanks. See how small? Yeah, shot did fine. Just super. So the meat is ready. Of course, if modern kitchen appliances were at hand, things would go much faster. But we thought that to preserve the original technology of cooking, easy ways would not work. The result is important to us. The meat is ready. Proceed to the test. I know that too.
Біздің қамырымыз
Our dough is ready. Dilara, what are we doing now?
Теперь мы посыпаем.
Now we sprinkle with flour. Twist a little more.
Еще чуток подкрутим. Теперь
Now we will cut into small cubes.
на мелкие кубики.
қашық аш тағамын дайындау барысында
The most difficult part in cooking kashik ash is to put a filling into the square from the dough and to make dumplings from it in our way.
әрине бұл тағамды дайындау үшін
Yes, for such a dish, of course, you need to be patient. After this painstaking work, when we have already cooked a lot,
Когда мы уже налепили много,
we will need to cook the roast, to which we add melted butter, finely chopped onions, and we will fry all this in boil. Well, now is the time to go in cooking the second dish.
перейти к приготовлению второго блюда.
The next dish is Kuberte. We will also need onions, meat, and dough, but it is being prepared in a completely different way. As far as I was able to understand, in each region this dish is prepared in its own way. Dilara had already begun to prepare the dough, and Osman began to cut the meat. The way of cooking kuberte reminded me of Kazakh kizenan, homemade bread with meat filling.
Biz Kuberte tag'am
We almost cooked kuberte. Osman, what's next?
Сейчас нам
Now we will need to very carefully lay out our cooked dough on a baking sheet. Special cast iron baking sheet so that we can then lay it in the boil. What kind of dough is it?
тесто
This dough is made for kuberte.
очень важный момент.
A very important point now. We added the top of the dough, you need to make the edges. Because seeing the edges, we can judge the cook. If the edges are beautiful, then the cook is good. If she's the mistress, then she's also good. Now you need to evenly put the meat in the dough. How? Fragrant filling.
iyisini o'zi beradi.
The smell is incredible. And when the cake is baked, the smell will be even more appetizing. I believe. Can't wait to try kuberte.
Yetdi.
It needs more meat. More.
Давай мясо, побольше.
We Turks love more meat.
Turk tilidagi xalq yetsiz tamoq ishmaydi.
Let me try.
Я думаю, хватит, дружок.
I think that is enough, Yeshat. Won't you trust me? Yes, it seems that at one time the requirements for Crimean girls were very high. Even in order to beautifully wrap the edges of the kuberte, you need a lot of strength and skill. We applied to kuberte egg yolk and draw a pattern using seeds. The team of our project proposed to depict the symbol of the Crimean Tatar people.
Dilara xanım
It seems to me that Dilara is tired of me. Our dishes, kashik ash and kuberte, are ready. We need to cook and bake respectively. To do this, we will use the ancient Furan furnace. It has a domed shape. The interior of the tandoor furnace, made of clay and stones, is lined with a layer of salt. Chefs say that this is necessary to maintain the heat inside the oven.
Еңбек етсең емерсің деп бекер айтпаса керек. Міне, Осман Диляра
No wonder they say that diligence is the mother of success. Here are the national dishes that Dilara and Desman and Dai worked so hard on. The long-awaited moment. Let's try.
Так само
So it's time to try and evaluate our work. All the same, it was not in vain.
берем ложечку. Вот.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Ну, так как мы...
Well, since we are all not professionals, 9 pieces is quite a good result. Very tasty. This is exactly the old technology that I told you about.
Про который я вам рассказывал.
Bunday
Such kashik ash cooked according to an ancient recipe can be tasted only on the Crimean Peninsula.
Bergilde
Now it's the turn of the Kuberte. Let's try. Cut it like a master.
Өзіңіз.
After the light first soup, it's time to try Kuberte.
Kuberte.
Неге суымас үшін астында арнайы шоғы бар.
You probably wonder why this dish is called Kuberte. It's just a lot of meat here.
Ет өте көп.
My first day on the Crimean Peninsula was unforgettable. I managed to learn a lot of information to touch the Crimean Tatar culture, traditions and history. But there is still a lot of interesting things ahead, because this people still has many unknown secrets. Let's try to learn about them in the next episode.